Lawyers who put together wills. What is the craziest oddest thing someone wanted to put into? Not a lawyer, but I worked with plenty of estates and trust accounts over the years. This particular scenario isn't so much about the will itself being strange, but the circumstances that led up to the trust account being opened. I used to work at a bank in the estates department. I was an administrator who had to manage the files including encroachments upon the capital. That is, I want to take some money out now, please. I had this one account, multi-million-dollar trust for one single beneficiary, the son of the deceased. What's interesting is that the son killed the parents with a hammer in grotesque and brutal fashion. He pleaded insanity. He would call once a year from the penitentiary, mental hospital, requesting $50 for commissary, to buy chips and gum. The call was always strange. He was very polite, very doped up. The quality of the call was always very tinny, like he was far away from the phone. This one isn't necessarily crazy, just an interesting glimpse into the mind of a kind old woman in her 90s. My aunt and uncle, both were more like parents and incredibly beautiful people, passed away within a few weeks of one another. When my uncle became ill, the aunt tried to work on a will with her long-term lawyer, but she was kinda just old and out of it. Her main concern the entire time was small knickknacks, like a jar of pennies she wanted a distant cousin to have, or a used jacket from the 70s she bequeathed to a sister-in-law. It was quite touching how much time she spent carefully considering each item, and who would get it. Most of the items were used, and didn't even really hold any sentimental value. She just wanted them to go to good homes. When she passed away, everyone knew exactly who was getting each odd item. The real kicker is, when the lawyer told the primary beneficiaries that she never got around to the bigger assets and all that jazz. She basically told the lawyer, pay for our funeral and anything we owe, and then family members X, Y and Z can figure out the rest. It ended up being millions in homes, lakefront property, jewelry, antique firearms, vehicles, life insurance policies, stocks, bonds, gold coins, etc. etc. Luckily, the family is very close and everything went off without a hitch. They were amazing people who wanted to keep family items in the family. They just didn't put that much weight on their incredible wealth. They also hid their wealth amazingly. We all knew that they were very comfortable, but no one had any idea they were deep into 8-figure assets. It was just funny to see a random niece get a set of plastic cups, worn dance shoes, and a check for $125,000. I read a lot of estate documents as part of my job. There is so much subtle shade in them occasionally, they can be pretty entertaining. One super wealthy lady had a huge section for the care and well-being of her pets, with primary and successor caretakers, a certain amount of money from the trust for care and feeding of each pet. One pet owner might receive $3,000 a month to take care of one of her pets after she passed, and certain stipulations on how they were to be cared for. While some might see it as excessive, the language and stipulations she had, and how they were referred to, showed that she really loved her pets. In that same will and trust, she also left a slew of people only $1, so that there would be no chance they could take the trust to probate court on the basis that they were merely forgotten. That part had so much subtle shade. A lot of they know what they did, they are well aware of their guilt in the matter, etc. Then she split up about $2 million among 5 or 6 different animal rescues and animal welfare charities. It was around 200 pages long, and I swear I read the entire thing, just for the sheer entertainment value. Not a lawyer, but an aging woman my family knew, left her house, large, and in a very affluent neighborhood, and estate, to family friends for so long as her cats were alive, and taken care of in said house. After they died, the house was to be sold, and the remaining estate donated. The weird thing is, it's been like 20 years and the cats are still alive. Also, they've changed color. Not a will, but a deed. The city I work for was renovating a small park that was donated to the city in the 1910s. We went looking through the handwritten deed for easements or other restrictions, and found that the family could claw the property back if the park were not perpetually provided with a fountain of pleasant running water fit for consumption by man and beast alike. The family still has descendants in town, so we installed a new water fountain with a dog bowl filler, just to be safe. Here's one from one of my dad's law partners. He had a lady come in with an itemized list of books and wanted her will to contain all of the books and who will get what, based on her choosing. So basically she decides who gets what specific book, instead of letting her beneficiaries decide. The truly astonishing thing is how many books and how specific they get. According to dad's law partner, her list is at about 2,000 books, to be divided among about 30 people. She is apparently very specific and comes back at least once a year to add all the new books she's gotten. Not a lawyer, but my grandpa put in his will a chocolate bar for every one of his grandkids. Well, I have like 12 cousins and very difficult to track down where a couple of them went. All this estates and money he had in will was at a standstill for months because they couldn't find my couple cousins. Had to show court we put in effort to hire someone to track them down, etc. The lawyer that was helping execute the will was blown away that this lawyer allowed this and why he wouldn't highly suggest not to do it. But I'm not complaining cause I got a Toblerone out of the deal. I, early 20s, was forced to write a will due to the health insurance I get at work, and, amongst sensible stuff, the in-house lawyer said it was totally okay for this clause to be added. My funeral wishes are that I be buried in a coffin which has been spring-bladed, such that opening the coffin would cause alarm to future archaeologists. Then a bunch of stuff about if this is too costly I'd be cremated and have my ashes scattered in a specific place. Lots of people sending their friends and family on weird errands to spread their ashes, leaving money for people to take trips and spread their ashes around the world. Pet trusts are a fun one, leaving a whole whack of money in a trust to be used for the care of the pet during their life. However, my favorite ever, that I obviously didn't draft, was a lawyer who left the bulk of his estate, millions in today's dollars, to whatever Toronto area woman had the most children at a specific date, some years in the future. I recall the winner had 10. My grandfather passed a few hours ago, but my grandmother came to me after, with a navy blue tie featuring pink elephants. Ridiculous looking, but she said that he wore it to intimidate people in business as someone willing to wear such a ridiculous tie doesn't care about what people think. That scares people. So he wanted me to have it, so I could do the same. Lady wanted her small dog to be buried with her. If the dog happened to be alive when the lady passed, she wanted the dog put down and then join her. Just last week I handled a matter where the parents left millions in artwork to various people, wads of cash to various charities, and only left their kids the family cats. Turns out they did it because the kids got them the cats to comfort the parents in their old age, and the parents effing hated the cats, but the kids wouldn't let them get rid of the cats. Might be late to the party and not a lawyer, but my great granddad had a clause in his will that stated something along the lines of, if any of the beneficiaries decide to dispute the contents of the decedent's estate, their share becomes $1 and nothing else. Seemed like a pretty good way to maintain harmony among his survivors. I had a Russian client, son of an oligarch. His father created a trust which provided dispositive provisions for if he was kidnapped and not found within a certain number of months. Freaked me out. I believe the will had similar language too, but I can't remember now. Edited. Now that I think about it, I believe there was a separate document, in addition to the trust, that provided that his will should be effective to the extent he was kidnapped and not recovered within a certain period of time. When my great-granddad died, in his will he stated that his coin collection be split equally across his family. There was like 8 or 9 of us, and 3 potato sacks full of coins. So we all gathered round the table and each took 1 coin each until nothing was left. Among the coins was an iron cross, which was quite odd as the only person on that side of the family that went to war was his dad, and he served with the Anzacs in World War I.